All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of The Urban Gardener. I want to thank you all so much for joining along with me today on our urban garden adventure. Real quick, though, I'd like to ask for you, could you hit the like button real quick and hit the subscribe button down below? Follow along with us on some of our urban garden adventures as we get growing this season. Today, I'm out, the weather's looking pretty nice, and I've got some seedlings I've just got started here in my greenhouse here out back. But today, we're going to talk about potatoes. So one of the very first things that we need to be thinking about when we're planting out our container potatoes is, of course, our container. Now, just get these containers at the local box stores, whatever store you might have. They're very inexpensive, I think around $5 or so. But one of the things you're going to need to do with these containers is create some drainage out of them. They don't have holes in them, and you're going to need them because what you don't want to do is have your potatoes put in here, be feeding it water, and all you're doing is pooling up water at the bottom, and it gets really, really gross and acidic, and it really just destroys and kills your plants. So what you want to do, of course, take and put some holes right around the bottom. There's a ridge usually on some of these containers, so I like to make sure that it's on the very bottom ridge, so that you're getting whatever might be pulling up here at the very bottom. Most everything else will kind of drain towards those holes. And then I usually put a couple of holes right around the side edge too. You got just a basic drill here, and you want to get yourself a nice size drill bit there to make sure your holes are a pretty nice size. So let's just get in. So there we have it. We've got ourselves a regular storage container turned into a potato container. And what we'll do is we'll fill this up with our soil, and we'll get our potatoes planted out for the season. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. We really had some fun with growing potatoes last season in our containers. We had some really extraordinary plants grow up out of our containers. And as you can see, there's an iCard above, and if you click that iCard, that'll take you to the first episode of our episodes that we made on those potatoes. But we didn't get very much of a good harvest out of those potatoes. It was very small. The plants were really great, but the harvest was pretty small. You can see there's another iCard above right now. You can check out that episode, which shows you the results of our potatoes that we grew last year. Now, there were several things that I thought about when I was finishing up the potatoes last year and what could have went wrong and everything. And as I read about them more and all that, I think really ultimately what it came down to was our soil and our feeding. Potatoes are really heavy feeders, and they want a lot of nutrients in their soil to absorb up so that the tubers can grow and get really nice size and everything. And we can't expect too big of a size growing them in these containers as well, but this year we're going to try a few different things. As you can tell, I got some soil amendments behind me we'll talk about in a second, and then we'll fill up those potato containers. I just want to kind of go over the potatoes we're going to actually grow this year. Okay, last year I took you guys to, if you checked out those episodes, I took you guys to the market, and we just bought potatoes out of the organic section of the market. Now these will grow, and they're going to grow all right, and they'll grow well, because one of the things we're really ultimately looking to do is save some money. I mean, growing potatoes potatoes are inexpensive, and we shouldn't be spending a ton of money to grow potatoes. And you can grow them out of the organic section of your store. They will grow, and I've done that, and I've been successful doing that. But this year we're going to try something just a little bit different as well. Now we're going to try some of these very inexpensive seed potatoes you see in these containers at your garden centers. And we're going to give those a shot. And last year I also talked about chitting your potatoes, which is basically cutting them down so you have taken the eyes and separating them out into new and different plants. And I talk about that if you check out those episodes. But what we'll do also as well that's going to be different this year is we're just going to plant these whole right into our containers, and then we'll see what we get as a result from that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get in and talk about this soil, mix it up, and we'll get those potatoes planted out in our containers. So what we have here are 4 different piles of different elements that we're going to be putting into our soil that we will be growing our potatoes in. Now, one of the first things we've got here is a base. Now, this is just topsoil that you can get very inexpensively at any of your garden centers. It's just basic topsoil. It's really kind of got some rocks in there. It's kind of sandy. And there's little bits of organic material like bark and stuff like that in there as well. It's a decent base for your soil if you want to have something that's going to give you really good fill. And then what we're going to add to it from here is just some local compost. This is really going to be filled with a lot of organic matter. But as you're going to find with a lot of your compost that you get, it is full of a lot of like wood chips and really ground up wood chips. But a good compost is going to give you some good organic matter material for your soil. It's going to be important for our potatoes because they're heavy feeders. And that was one of the things that we had a problem with, I think, last year. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to add a little bit of each of these. And they're going to provide a lot of good nutrients and food for your potatoes. The first one here is composted chicken manure. And we'll add another manure. We'll add some composted steer manure. Now these will give a lot of good nutrients for our potatoes, and hopefully we'll get ourselves a really good harvest this year. Alright, so we got the mixing done with our soil here. It's all set up. Now we're going to go in ahead and we're going to put in our first layer into our containers. So now with all of our soil mixed up and we got ourselves a really nice layer here, just a couple of inches deep of soil here, put into our containers. What we're going to do now is plant in our seed potatoes. And the seed potatoes come already with some nice eyes growing off of them. And these are really developed well. And what you'll want to do is plant these with the eyes going up. And what we'll do here is we'll only plant in, I think, 3 of these in here. Put one there, another one there, and we got this one with some really nice long eyes. We'll kind of dig in there just a little bit more. Careful not to break those off as they are really kind of fragile. All right, we're only going to put a few of those in there too because that's one of the other things that I was thinking about as we grew our potatoes last season. Did I put too many into the container? So we're going to be growing these whole, and we're just going to put a couple of them into each of our containers and see what kind of production we get out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, get these all set in here. All right, so we got all of our seed potatoes in there. They're buried down in at least a nice couple of inches or so down below there into the soil. And that's where we're going to let them get started in growing. One last thing we got to do here though is water them in a little bit. Soil's already pretty moist. But I'm going to make sure they get a nice drink of water there first. All right, one more thing I wanted to show you there. You see this? Look at that. We got some nice plants already growing out of this container. And these are seed potatoes that were in the soil already from last season. Now we must have left some behind in the soil, and I let this container sit out for the winter. And lo and behold, as spring came around, these plants popped right up. So this will be something really fun for us to keep an eye on and see how well the harvest of these potatoes from last year's potatoes turn out this year. So all right, everyone, we got our seed potatoes all planted out in our containers there. We're gonna have some really cool potato plants to look forward to as we get growing on here this season. Can't wait to see how these turn out as opposed to what we got last season. So that'll be something really, really fun to look forward to as we get growing on here. I want to encourage you once again, please hit the subscribe button down below. Follow along with our garden adventures here in the Urban Gardens. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything at all, please hit me up in the comments section below too. And if you can, give this video a big, big thumbs up. And I'll see you again on the next episode of The Urban Gardener. Still want to do another one, kind of a little more angled. Welcome to the new... Okay. On our urban garden adventure. Real quick though, I'd like to ask for you, hit the like button. The like button. Okay.